Hi everybody, this is week 2, and for the next project we are going to be making a rattle. Okay, and so we start with our pinch pots. Hopefully you've been able to make pinch pots that were more or less the same size and shape. That will be helpful in this project. Let me just get going on my first pinch pot. Thumb in the clay, push all the way down, and I start rotating it around. That thins the walls of the pot. Notice I stay away from the rim, because if I start working the rim too soon, I end up with a bowl and not a round hemispheric form like that one. Okay, that's what we're going to aim for here. We're working for a thickness of about 5/8, no more than that, right? And if your pot or pots are as thick as 3/4 of an inch, they run the risk of cracking or even worse, blowing up. Blowing up is by far worse because you may blow up people's pots around you in the kiln, and even mine, which would be really annoying for me. I've had it happen. I don't like it, so don't do it. So here we go. We're getting there pretty good, right? And one of the things when you're making pinch pots, you're going to want to store them on their rim so that gravity doesn't flatten the bottom. If your pinch pot sits on a table, or if you make it sitting on the table, you end up with what we like to call a dog bowl. It's a Bowser, and it'll be hideously ugly, and you'll wonder what went wrong. Use your hand, you cup the shape, get a nice round bottom there. To preserve that round bottom, I'll store it on its rim for an hour or so until it firms up. You're going to want 2 of these, okay? And we're going to want the rims to be about the same diameter. So one helpful thing there is to start with 2 balls of clay that are the same weight, and that way you won't end up getting one that's way radically different size and shape than the other. Okay, so that one's coming along pretty well. Now I'm going to do this again. I've got a little smaller lump of clay, and I'm going to do this again. And this is going to be added on to my rattle. What I'm going to be trying to make is a feline creature, cat. Now, I'm a dog person, so that might be apparent when you see my cats, but that's good. I guess I was inspired to make a cat for my rattle because I've been streaming Samurai Cat and the adventures therein. So here we go. This is probably a bigger snout than I want, but I can trim it down later, okay? I'm just sort of making the parts now that'll help me put this thing together, okay? So again, I'm going to set this off to the side to firm up, not for days. And one of the other things I want to bring up is if you're working on a table or anything, you're going to want to put your pots on a piece of paper so that they don't stick to that surface while you're waiting for them to firm up. And the other thing that you're going to want to do before you try and put your rattle together is to make a little donut, okay? So I've got my donut. It's on a piece of paper, so the donut, which is just a throwaway, won't stick to my surface. This is going to give me a place that this can set up, and if I need to go to the bathroom, I could put my rattle on my donut and come back and it'll be in pretty good shape. So here's 2 pinch pots, right? And pretty close or close enough to the same diameter. Okay, that's going to be your first problem. You're going to have to get that right. Now, to make it rattle, which is important, we're going to want to make some little balls of clay. And I like to make different sizes. I think it makes a better sound, okay? And each one of those little pebbles, rocks of clay, will be wrapped in paper, and you're going to put them inside. And what's going to happen is when you bring this pot into fire, during the firing process, the paper will burn out and allow it to roll around. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you just throw them in there, they'll stick to the inside. No rattle. So not good. So make sure you do that. I want your little rattle to rattle, because that'll get you maximum points and happiness as you go forward. So got them in there, they're rattling, but I've forgotten one thing. Every piece of clay that you try and join together must be scored, which is this kind of a process. Take your needle tool. Oh, and by the way, these are the tools that you should have gotten in your toolkit. Why do I think not many of you have gotten them, but I hope you do? Needle tool, knife. Oh yeah, now you won't get a knife anymore. Used to be able to get a knife in the toolkit, but I think too many ceramic teachers got stabbed, so they took that out, and you may have to have another cutting tool. Your rib, sharp as heck, you can use that to cut things. So go all the way around, score often, deep, and add a little water. I think your kit comes with a little sponge. Just add a little water, not too much, and score again. Okay. If you don't score, it'll be pretty apparent, because what happens, you bring these pots in to be fired and everything you thought was stuck together pops off. You need to really join them together. And here's an example of why I need my little donut. I'm going to put that there while I work on the next one. Okay. I'm doing a pretty sloppy job here, but I'm breezing along as quick as I can. And you really want to do this conscientiously, because by roughing up the surface and adding some water, you kind of create a little mush, a little glue that sticks it together. It's just the moistened clay. And of course, we're going to be using some pressure when we go to put them together. Okay. If you use way too much water and water gets all around in the inside of this pot, you run the risk of it cracking. So that's no good. So here's my 2 pieces. Let's see how close I can get them. Not too bad. Pretty close. Now, give it the old squeeze. Okay, so is that really stuck on there? That's pretty good. But to make sure, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to add a coil around this seam. Rub that lump of clay between your hands, make a coil. Now, you don't want it to be giant. Giant coil, giant meaning fat, because this coil does add a little thickness to your clay here. And again, if any of your additions to this are too thick, then you run the risk of explosions. Okay, so now that we get it all the way around, now I'm going to smoosh that clay together. That's a technical term. Give it the old smoosh. One of the nice things, once you get this joined and sealed, you've trapped air in there, and you can push on one side and it shouldn't deflate too much. And so that gives you some leeway to alter its shape without it collapsing. Very nice. Okay. So, well, that looks awful, doesn't it? So take your rib and go over it again. Now, I'm not taking much clay off. I'm just kind of, again, smooshing that back into this piece, okay? Now, sometimes when you do that, you'll notice it does indent it a little. Just stop and give it the old squeeze test. That'll push it back into its shape. So this project's make a rattle, but I'm not giving you a specific form to make. It could be anything you want, okay? With a few exceptions. No baseballs, no ping pongs, no basketballs, soccer balls, footballs, okay? No planets, suns, moons, no potatoes. No Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, or Junior Potato Heads, okay? I won't accept those. That will really annoy me if you do that. I know I got a few baseball players in my class, so no baseballs. Hey, how about a glove? Oh man, a glove that rattle? Super cool. Try it. Okay. Never had a baseball bat. Had some great alien spaceships. That's always good. And of course, if you do that, I'll want you to make a little alien standing outside because, you know, because. Okay. I'm not quite done with that, but while we're on the topic of what you can make, here's a nice little devil. This was made by an 8th grader. So yeah, that's setting the bar pretty high for you guys. Oh yeah, face. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. How about a little otter? Woohoo! Nice. How about this guy, huh? Stegosaurus? Oh, Triceratops. You know, hey, you know, they're changing all the names of dinosaurs now, so, you know, it's just to foul people up, I think. And I'm making a cat now, but in the past, nice little dog. He's been bisqued, he's hard, but I haven't glazed him yet, okay? So, you're only limited by what you can come up with. I know that immediately makes you draw a blank, but give it some thought, huh? I've had a nice chicken sitting on eggs, each egg rattled as well as the chicken. Oh man, that was a nice one. Okay, so once I get this all smoothed in, or close, then I can sort of change its shape just a little bit. So, I can roll it around now. So the 2 pinch spots and your little rattle guys, that's just the beginning. you're going to add things to it. And the first cat head I made was pretty round, so I'm going to try a little more oval this time. See if I can get a better thing. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to be a demon cat or not, because, you know, if it doesn't work out, then it might be a monster. Okay. Okay. So there we go. There's our first part. I'm going to want a little bit of a snout on this guy. Let's see if we can get that on there. Now, something you need to remember is I've trapped air into this round head-like form, and if I don't allow a way for that air to escape during the firing process, it is probably going to crack, or at worst, blow off a section of it. The reason is that when we heat up anything that has mass, if it has air inside, the air heats first, and the pot itself is a little behind that, and the air expands and pushes against our object, and kablooey! Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, that's no good. So we're going to trim this down a little. So again, your donut allows you to now I'm again trapping air here, you see, so I'm going to have to put an air hole in there as well as in the regular pot before I go on, before I seal it up. Okay, so, and as just like with the first pieces, I sort of made marks on here where it's going to go. Now I'm going to score it. I won't generally need to score the addition because it's so soft, but it's a good practice to do it anyway. Better be safe. And sorry, because if your pieces blow up or crack terribly, you're going to have to make them over again. You will not like that. Okay. I'm going to give you guys 2 weeks to make this thing, so I expect some nice effort. Okay, looking more like a monkey face than a cat. Let's see what I'm going to do. If it gets too soft and gooey, put it down, side, let it firm up a little, but don't let it get too firm. Always keep a piece of plastic around to keep a piece from drying too much. Because the bags that come with these Amazon packages are perfect for that. Okay, it's going to take me a bit to fashion these pieces, so I'm just going to roughly go over it now for your video. And I've got a couple more things I want to cover. One thing is this thing's going to need some ears, right? Cats have ears, always, right? Is there a kind of cat that doesn't have ears? I've heard of furless cats, and I've heard of barkless cats, but not earless. Some of them have little stub ears, you know, like that. Oh, that's ridiculous, man. Come on. So I like a nice long-eared cat, but the thing I want to remind you about is if you make this ear paper thin, right? Okay, here we go, paper thin. Working on it, super thin. I can't see through it. Let's change its shape a little. It's still paper freaking thin. And we put that out there and we join it on this piece. It ain't going to survive the firing process. It's so paper thin. And if anyone touches it, boom, no ear. And that's depressing. One-eared cat, I suppose, could have had an accident. So keep that edge with a little bit of extra clay there, right? Okay. Now, I make just a little mark to let me know where this thing's going to go. And then again, you're going to go all the way around all the edges to get it joined. If you feel like you need to, you can make a little teeny coil and use that to help you join that together. In the modules part of the course on Canvas, you'll see some images from some of the students in the past. A hall of fame, if you will. So that's pretty cool. Check those out. That could give you some ideas. And you'll see one of my favorite students from the past, Joel, is holding up a head that looks surprisingly like him. And I was in a class and a student was making a little head. I said, dude, that looks just like another student of mine. And he goes, you mean Joel? And I go, yeah. And I go, oh yeah, I'm making a head that looks like Joel, because we live together, share a room. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. So at the end of the course, I had Joel hold up this other student's Rattle. He was great. Pretty good sport about it too. So there's one ear. I'm going to have to put some eyes in there and a nose and such. And with enough work, you might be able to get a little guy like that, huh? Yeah. Oh. And this is a little different clay. Here's the sort of thing I'm talking about, okay? And I got busy. The reason we're doing this class online is because this little fella, here's my little coronavirus. Yeah. Don't touch him. All right. Good luck. Email me with any questions you got. And we'll see you next time.